Okay. I think I can hear myself now. Hopefully you guys can hear me. That was the weirdest thing. I push one button while I'm streaming, it doesn't fix it. I turn the stream off, push the button, and then I turn it back on and it works. How's the video? Is it laggy on your end, choppy? I mean, it looks good on my end. Cool. Well, welcome. Looks like it's just you. I got in the mood to just to try this out. Might be an option for answering some questions. I'm getting a lot of questions about, especially about Mutants and Masterminds. I mean, the video catalog would be like atrocious. Figured this would be an easier way to answer questions and update on things, because I know people have been asking about the games that I've been wanting to run with some of you guys, some of you subscribers. I've got some work going on that, so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Maybe if we get a few other people watching the stream. If not, I'll just, I'll throw it out there, and then people can maybe watch it later. Hopefully everyone will be excited about it. Sorry, I'm just looking up some notes here. Vehicle combat. That's one of the things I've never really done with Mutants and Masterminds. Well, this would be a good opportunity for us to look at it, shall we? $69.73. You know what? Actually, I've got a PDF here. Hold on. Nope. Let's see. Will this get us to where we need to go? All right. Is this working all right? Can you see that? Vehicles. So with vehicle combat, what exactly do you want to do? You want to do like chase scenes, like gunfights between moving vehicles? Okay. All right. So the vehicle size determines its defense. Let's see. Let's get to page 169. Hopefully that gets us to where we need to go. Yeah, all right. So let's see. the vehicles with a test. So for sizes larger than the medium, it's a penalty, obviously, right? The bigger it is, the easier it is to hit. Okay, so you can buy off. So like I said, sorry, I gotta kind of read up on it. It's been a while since I've looked at the vehicle stuff. Maybe I'm gonna make this just a hair bigger. All right. Navigation system, hidden compartments, features. So no, like vehicle chases. That's going to be covered by your, what is it, the vehicle skill? Where is it? Vehicles. So that's going to be like opposed roles between you and, you know, so whoever's driving the other vehicle to determine being for chasing. Let's see, expert skill. Yeah, so obviously you'll have, you know, like you'll roll how well you do versus however they roll. Obviously, if you're rolling poorly and they're rolling well, they'll eventually get away. And then you want to know about. So, do you have questions on like how like toughness and defense and stuff for vehicles work? Like for getting hit, for getting shot at, for dealing damage. So yeah, so basically the like vehicles don't get like the normal defenses, they just get defense. If you look right here. Let's see. So if we go down here, look at motorcycles got defense 10, that's not bad. Yeah, if you're just looking at like a regular car, let's see. So, let's see, like car because it's got a defensive 8. Obviously, and it also depends upon the power level too. If you're running like a higher power level game, attack bonuses and stuff it will be easier to hit the car. Lower power level, obviously, they won't have as big of to hit. You could also always add points to defense if you're having like all of your cars and vehicles just get blown to smithereens in a single hit. it's kind of one of the reasons why I never used vehicles, because I always played like power level like 10 or more. Well, sometimes lower, like 7 or 8. But even at that level, vehicles are kind of like, meh. Obviously, if somebody has like a motorcycle or a car or something, then that's a different story. But most of my players never use them, so I never really delved too deep into it. Yeah, wow. Even like helicopters have low defense. I mean, then obviously, the bigger it is, the harder the easier it is to hit. Yeah, like for me, like personally, like personal experience, like vehicles played a part like in lower level um, games. Once higher level, once everybody's able to either run, fly, jump, teleport, nobody really dealt with vehicles. Unless it was like, like if you look at this picture, like this guy's got tanks and stuff. I think I had a villain had a bunch of like vehicles, like armored vehicles, but I made him really tough, so they couldn't just get punched, one shot to death. All right, let's see. Let me go back to look at my comments here. Basic. All right, so somebody's got questions on like basic rules. All right, well, let's talk about basic rules. This will be for anybody that watches this later or comes in at a later time. So I guess we'll just start with the first chapter here, talking about how the game is played. Obviously, some of you, played more experience. They may not pertain to you. But some people will want some, like I said, the basic rules just to get into it. Because, the game can be pretty overwhelming in the beginning. I don't know if anybody's had that issue. I think when I got into it in, like, 2nd edition, it was a lot more convoluted than it is now in 3rd edition. 3rd edition kind of streamlined a lot of things. 2nd edition was pretty complex, so I kind of had to develop like a math degree. Well, let's find a good place to start. Just complications. The measurement table. Now, I think I've talked about this in a couple of my other videos, but maybe this would be a really good place to start with basics. So you're going to reference this table quite a lot here. Hold on, let me turn this down. There we go. So you're going to reference this table quite a lot. So one of the things you're going to be looking at it for is how far or how fast people can move, like in miles per hour. When they're able to hit a speed or flight or whatnot. So basically how you want to look at how fast you move in a given amount of time. You look at your time, the time column, Right here, time column. And then you look at, okay, like say most people want to know how many miles per hour can I fly with rank 7 of flight. Okay, so you're gonna look at your time, 1 hour, which is rank 9. Then you just add whatever relevant movement speed power you have. So say flight 7, you add that to 9, so that would be 16. Then you go to the distance, 16, 250 miles an hour with flight 7. That's one of the easier ways that you're going to be using this table. Or like you want to know, like, so say I've got super speed and I can move really fast. Well, how far can I move it around? Well, around is 6 seconds, rank 0. I've got flight 7, rank 7. I can move half a mile in a round. Now, this is going to, eventually your encounters are going to get, instead of like localized, they're going to become very large battles. Because you're like, oh, the villain shows up, and then you're like, oh, the guy with super speed is like, nope. He's like, doo! He's like 200 miles away, or whatever, 120 miles away. Say he's got 120 miles away. You're like, well, how do you GM that? I mean, that's just one of the things you've got to deal with this game. There's really no easy way of being like, well, you can't make them slower. You could make it to where, oh, okay, guys, I've got this map kind of drawn out. I mean, you could be like, stay within this size of map that I've created. Well, you don't want to stifle people. It's one of those things I just let the character wants to go a half a mile on his turn. He's like, oh, it's my turn? I'm going to go half a mile east. And I just let him go. I'm like, all right. But then eventually your villains and your bad guys may have powers so they can kind of keep up. So, you know, you're fighting in a city. There's going to be just fights everywhere in your city. That's one of the daunting things that you'll come across pretty early on GMing this game. Let's see, yeah, because you've got the thing right here. So distance equals rank, time rank plus speed rank. It even gives you a little formula right there. And then like throwing distance rank. All right, so you're gonna get familiar with this chart. Print it off if you've got like the Game Master's kit. I don't have the Game Master's kit, but I'm assuming it's got like a screen that's going to have this in there. You're going to need this quite a lot. All right, so gameplay. So the basics of the game. Obviously, this game is a D20 game. D20. It's all going to be done with a single D20. It doesn't use any other dice. It's done on checks. You're going to have bonuses between, you know, either penalties or bonuses to the dice. You're going to roll the dice and add your penalty or your bonus to get a number, which you're either going to give to the GM to compare to a number that he's got, or you're going to roll yours plus your bonus, and the GM will roll his plus a bonus for an opposed check. Right here. Shows right here. He's got some examples like leaping down, swinging over the catwalk, smashing through the skylight. This is like the basics of basics. So those, if anybody else news come in, and it's like, wow, I don't really need this. Let's see, Nintendo Manga Guy. So I also have a Power Level 12 in PC. That's like, okay, John Constantine. All right. So as soon as you gave him offenses, you stopped being what Constantine was. But as soon as you took the yeah. Okay, Power Profiles book is really, really good. I actually didn't have that till just recently. I got the PDF. It's got some really cool stuff in there for beginner and experienced players alike. Gives you some ideas. It even gave me some ideas on how to use certain powers to create certain effects, which is really good. Now with the main book, do you have the... Because I just have this one. I don't have the deluxe. I just have the regular 3rd edition. Do you have the deluxe, or do you have the just the one that I've got? Okay. Let's see. Let's see. So for push and knockback, because I remember in the 2nd edition book it had rules for that. Let me see if it's in here. Because I think, oh god, what book is it? There's one of the other books that detail knockback pretty well. I'll tell you, push and knockback is one of those things. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. I'd be careful using it like all the time, because eventually you're just like, people are going to be flying through walls and stuff everywhere. That's like when I was using knockback rules, especially when you get like the super strong guys. Because let's see, because I swear this game, does this book not have it, or is it in a different one? I'm trying to remember. Let's see. You know what? We'll just go here. I remember what book it is. Yes. Yes. In the GM's guide. I think because I've got a lot of this stuff digitally. I'm trying to remember if I've got it on this computer or if it's on my portable hard drive. Hold on, let me look at my stuff here. No, of course not. Let's see. Knockback. I'm just kind of doing some Google here to see what ideas other people have. Knockback distance is attacks, damage bonus minus half toughness rank, or toughness rank if it's impervious, minus growth ranks plus 1/4 of shrink ranks, rounded down, -5. See, like some of this stuff, you got to use. You have to have like a bachelor's degree in certain sciences to be able to understand. Don't get me wrong. I love this game. Love the game. It just, there's a lot of the math and stuff that has to be taken into account. Let's see. Let me get to. Yeah. So this thing is saying. Yeah. So say you have like an attack bonus of 10, and you get hit. You know, say your toughness rank, which is not impervious, is 5. You're -5, so you're down to 5. No growth ranks, no shrink ranks, -5. You wouldn't go anywhere. But then, say your attack is 10, and your toughness is only like 3, no growth, no shrink, then you would go back 2. Some calculus. Yes, correct. Calculus never hurt. I took calculus back in the day, like I think in high school. But that was like 20 years ago. So I haven't really, I mean, maybe I've used a lot of calculus since. I just can't remember. But yeah, with knockback, I don't know. It's really up to you. Like, is this something that you want to use in your game, like all the time, or just for certain things, like this guy's power that's able just to knock guys back? Yes, high level math. High level math. There should be like an online course you can take. You know, Mutants and Masterminds 101, 201, and then eventually get to the point where you just, hey, I got my diploma from playing Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition. But then 4th edition is going to come out if they do that. Hopefully, if they ever do a 4th edition, a lot of this math goes away. Because I mean, like, I've played it long enough, and some of you have probably played it long enough as well, that the math isn't as hard of an issue or as big of an issue. But for newer players, like a lot of the questions I get in some of the comments is all like basic stuff, how to do this and how to do that. It's kind of off-putting for newer players. I don't know if any of you had that when you first got into the game or not. So yeah, the attack rank minus half toughness or minus all of toughness if it's impervious, and then growth and shrink ranks are added in -5. Yeah, I've actually played a lot of not a ton of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I've been running the Curse of Strahd with my game group. Honestly, I think 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons has been one of the easier versions to play so far. I mean, 4th edition was pretty easy. 4th edition was like a board game. It was like an MMO because you had your roles and you had all these powers that you would use, my dailies, my at wills, and all that other stuff. I had a friend that was just all 4th edition, man. He loved that. I didn't mind it, but 3rd edition got too bloated, like 60 books or whatever. I don't even know how many books there were, but somebody would come to the table, oh, I want to play this really just odd class out of this one book that was printed, 3 years after the game came out, and this makes easiest by far, yes. Some obscure class with some obscure rule, and of course they never had the book, they just heard about it. So we got you guys. So you guys are all playing Mutants and Masterminds, and then Dax, you're playing 5th edition. Are you into Mutants and Masterminds? Are you actively playing now, or is it something you're looking into? Because I know we've talked on Discord. I can't remember if you were like actively playing or looking into getting into it. Um, intro, so introducing players to combat for Mutants and Masterminds. What power level are you going to be playing at? Is it the power level 8? Power level 8. Do you have anything planned out? Like a villain story, anything like that? Or what do you have? Like, do you have anything prepared? Or are you just kind of going like the pre-made guys in the back of the book? Let's see, let's find... Where is it? See, because I'm trying to remember how I introduced players. I always like to do the whole they're gonna go. Oh yeah. Okay, you were the one that had the like the different factions, right? The supers, the humans, and like the mages, right? This like sect or group of mages. Was that you? Okay. How's that coming along? I know that was quite a while ago. Several weeks. Do you have anything new? Okay, the UAM military. All right. Well, no. Okay. Oh yeah, and wasn't like the leader of the metahumans, that guy that was kind of like Dr. Manhattan. He had gone out into space and got affected by some kind of energy that gave him all these powers. That's it. Yeah. Okay. And then, so Dax, so you're saying, so you never really heard of Mutants and Masterminds till a couple of weeks ago? How was the first, or what was the first time you heard about it? Oh, well, awesome. I'm glad that was your first experience with it. So I am working on. I've been talking about it for a while, getting like a story and stuff worked up, and selecting some of you guys to play in a game. So you guys that are here watching right now, is that something you guys would be interested in? Okay. I'm just kind of working on some story and then kind of um, like how best to handle it. Like, I think I'm gonna have like 5 players max. I mean, if I get that kind of response for it, I'm gonna be taking people from Discord. So those of you that watch this stream like later, and you want to get in on this, you're gonna want to make sure you join my Discord. Come join us over there, having some pretty cool conversations. Those are the people that I'm going to be choosing from. So it might be that how I'm thinking of doing it is I'm going to create this world in this setting, and then we'll make characters. Haven't decided on a power level. I might start low or lower, especially if I get some newer players, less experienced players, because then it's kind of easier to bring them in. So then Vincent, back to your question, how do you introduce combat? Like if you look here, like these like basic trained combatants, I like to put the characters up against X amount of these guys, or something similar, or like if it's mutants or whatever would be good for your game that would fit the setting and the theme. Like you've got your post-apocalyptic, you could use like militants and soldiers as human soldiers. You could make like the metahumans, you could create like lower level, like low powered soldier. I'm not exactly sure how you've got like your hierarchy for your different groups, but Chimera Fox Animal, that sounds pretty cool. Power level 3, not bad. Now, was that going to be so when you say like NPC, is that like a generic NPC that's going to be like a combatant that you're going to fight against? Okay. Because let's see. Actually, let's look. Because I kind of remember how D&D's done with. Because like D&D has its own, math 101 when it comes to calculating. Like if you. Is that really? Well, hey, I'm glad you're watching. However you can. Tablet, on your phone, PC, doesn't matter. As long as you're here hanging out. But yeah, so back to D&D. Like, they have their own, like, math skills that you need to calculate how to manage an encounter. Such a level of the player. You have X amount of players of different levels. You add them all together and you do this and that, divide by and square roots and all this other stuff. Then you get a number. Then you da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Me personally, I just kind of took all that. I threw it out the window. I liked phone life is rough. Hey, at least we have phone life. Like, God, when I was young, like when I was in high school, nobody had a cell. Okay, like 4 people had a cell phone. I remember my first cell phone. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the old Nokia phones that had like that Game Boy colored screen, that it was like green and black, and you had like 2 games, and you could like call and text. What else could you do with it? Oh, you had like a calendar. You could look at the date and stuff like that. But those things were like indestructible. And they had the antenna that you would pull out. I just went off on that tangent. Don't mind me. Yeah, and I've never watched. Okay, well, I've watched a live stream. Never commented on one on my phone. I know, right? Remember when you had like your plan? You had to buy text. Okay, for $5 extra a month, you can get 100 texts sent or received. Not a combination, not both. Combination of the 2. Somebody texts you 99 times in a month, you can reply once. Let's see. Encounters. Oh God, it's like reading an English book here. Good thing I can read. Skim and read quickly. Okay, they don't have a lot of math. So basically, when it comes to this challenge rating equals the danger rank times number of party members. Yeah, something simple, something simple like that. I would always I would always give my players like the easy fight, you know, a couple of those to kind of get them, you know, make them think they're all good, and then the bad guy shows up and then would like, you know, like wipe the floor with them. Not every single time, right? Because that gets boring, but you you let them fight the minions. You know, like when you watch the movies or whatever, and they go in there. There's just like, oh, it's the guys with the guns or the clubs or whatever, and they just like mop the floor with hundreds of them, and then the villain shows up. Or like there's the villain with his, you know, I'm a big MMO player. He's got ads, so I would have my villain show up, and if the villain seemed to be kind of getting, well, maybe this is a little too easy. Oh, he would summon some ads. He would summon some minions or something to kind of distract or whatever, or another henchman would show up. I just kind of kept things dynamic like that. I always hated to be like, well, my party member is X size of X level. They can fight this easily. This is hard. I always like to, you know, I'd set it to what I thought, and then we would start the fight. Then it seemed easier. I could add, you know, it's like putting butter on toast. You put butter on toast, you're like, man, this isn't enough. You put more butter, or whatever you put on toast. All the goons. Oh yeah. What do I think of Combat Mutants and Masterminds? Honestly, I think the combat is pretty straightforward, like on its mechanics. I roll my d20 versus, you know, or plus my bonus versus whatever. That's easy enough. It's just when you get all the different powers working together or against each other, that's the hardest part. I don't really have any homebrews on how to fix dealing with some of that. It's through practice. Like once you learn what powers do, you can. It's easier when you get to those situations where like, okay, I've got like affliction 5, weakening, and it disables. Okay, he's now disabled in strength. He gets these penalties. You know, all this stuff that you have to keep track of. Like I said, it's one of the things that I dislike about the game is there's so much note taking and math and meta stuff that has to go on the side. Ten-minute fights. Phew! I can't remember the last time I had a 10-minute fight scene in any of my games. Like even like the boss or whatever, like the big fight, like you at the climax of the story, they want that fast. They don't want like this epic drawn out fight. Okay, well, then there's DMs like this that troll you at level 3. Okay, Vincent. Normal fights, okay, that's not bad. Yeah, if you're just having an encounter. Now, are you having encounters to have encounters, or are these encounters meaningful? Like story-wise, is what I'm trying to say. Encounters, should they be meaningful? Yes, in my personal opinion. Never have a fight to have a fight. The fight should be to progress the story, or to cause, or to have conflict that then furthers the story. Like even something simple, like say you're playing a game or whatever, and you know some guys robbing a bank in your Mutants and Masterminds game, and the players show up. You know, that fight, obviously, right? There's conflict. They're trying to save the day. These guys are against it. But never just walking down the path and then boom, bandits jump out and attack you, right? I mean, it could happen, yeah, but there would have to be a lot of bandits. Think of, you know, you always want to think of your encounter as well. Like, is this something that this thing would do? Like, if you got a party of, you know, pretty powerful, you know, 5 characters walking down the road, how many bandits do you think the bandits would think they would need to be able to rob these people? 20, you know, they're going to want to get them by numbers. Nintendo Manga Guy, you do, okay, you don't want to kill them in your first session. Yes, first session encounters, I make them easier. Like, specifically the first encounter, I make it easy. I'm like, this sounds easy. Let's see how they do. Right? But obviously I give it meaning, I give it purpose. And then I can kind of scale up. I'm like, well, now I know what they can handle. Also, remember that if you're GMing or DMing and say you make an encounter a little difficult, don't be afraid to fudge a few rolls. Yeah, you can fudge a few rolls, especially you make sure you have your DM screen or your roll so people can't see or whatever. Don't be afraid to fudge a few rolls to save people, especially in the beginning. Play run into a chimera or 2 on patrol. Yeah, that's not bad. Now these chimeras, are they just kind of like roaming the wasteland and they just attack whatever, like for food kind of thing? Ooh, lethal damage. Yeah, Dax, the false sense of security. You lure them in and you snuff them out. Yeah, I might have done that. That's what the Tomb of Horrors does. If none of you have played the Tomb of Horrors from like the original edition of like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons when it came out, that will make you cry for your mom if you play that. Yeah, the big first event. Yeah, to give them the reason to band together. That's good. That's a good story point, right? Especially when you create your game and all the players are kind of separate. How to get them together is going to be the big step. You're going to want something like a common goal, something that they're all striving for, but each separately cannot overcome. They need each other to be able to overcome it. That'll bring them together. Lethal damage system. Ooh. Yeah, just, you know, if you do that, make sure you let the players know, hey guys, we're going to be doing lethal damage. You know, like, you will not be knocked out with stars over your head. If things go poorly, you could die. Yep, DM screen, rolling behind it. Yep, whispering on Roll20. If you guys have used Roll20, those of you that have or haven't, I got a couple of videos on how to make like dice rolling macros, and they all whisper to you, the GM, which is really cool. Because then you can just click on it, and then it brings up the little box of what kind of dice and how many of whatever plus whatever bonus. Makes it really easy to use. And then I guess like when it's talking about style, like what kind of style of game do you guys like? I prefer dark. If you're looking here, like most of my games that I run are dark. I like gritty. I like real. Like death is possible. All this other kind of stuff. So So you know, like when I run my Mutants Masterminds game, like it's going to be maybe in from grayscale to dark. It's where it's going to be. Very like Frank Miller, I think, like his when he did like his Batman Returns or whatever it was, that graphic novel that he did when Bruce Wayne is like older, but then he goes back to being Batman. How that's like dark and gritty. That's kind of how my game is going to be. It's not going to be like lots of death and destruction and mayhem or whatever. But I like it real, like stuff in the real world. Like the real world could get pretty dark. And sometimes it could be light, so I have a little bit of each, but just knowing that going toe-to-toe with cosmic beings is never always going to end in an easy time, or is it always going to be good for your health? I like Roll20, but I prefer in-person games better so I can use real dice and have a real board. True. I do like that. I know, so my Vampire the Requiem game that I'm running every other weekend with some of my friends, we all have our tablets and laptops at the table. We have a big table, though, big, huge table. We have our... Yeah, there we go, Dax. Yeah. Sin City, Killing Joke, Kick-Ass, that kind of stuff, dark and gritty. That's how I like to run my games. But Roll20, we all have our laptops and tablets and stuff. It's like where they have the character sheet and wait. Okay, I should be back. Sorry, having some internet connectivity issues. The weather's kind of nasty outside, so it may go up and down. Yeah, it went down for a second. Can you guys hear and see me now? It's that face, I know, right? It's like, come back to me. Where are my emojis? Emojis. Where's my crying face? Where's the crying face? Oh no. I guess I'm too... Alright, screw emojis. I'm too old for that. Yeah, see, now my stream health is like in the green. Oh no, okay, so I'm going to pull my players from my Discord server, but I'm going to be using Roll20 to run the game. And then we'll probably use the Discord voice chat, because the Roll20 is kind of not super great. We kind of played with that the other day. Discord has way better audio. Yep, we back. You can roll. You can run Roll20 off your phone. You have a smartphone, I'm assuming, correct? Obviously, if you're here watching YouTube, because that's how one of my guys in my vampire game runs it off of was running it off of his phone for the first couple of days that we played anyway. Roll20. Roll20 is all free. Like if you want to play, I pay for a subscription. I pay the $5 a month so I can have like dynamic lighting and some of the other stuff. But if you just want to play, you just need the basic free account. Because all my friends that play in my vampire game, they all have free accounts with Roll20. So, Vincent, I don't know if you're still here, but so you got a question. Any tips for running a single player short campaign? Okay, running a single player game. I've never really, well, I mean, years ago I tried doing like a single player game when I was just by myself and I was bored. Now, is this like it's you and one player? Or is it like just you want to play through a game to amuse yourself? Uh, 2 or 3 sessions max. How long are your sessions going to be? Like, do you guys plan to play like 2, 3, 4 hours at a time? Put that right there so you can see it. Two to 3 hours. So then what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to plan your story like you normally would, but then just use less plot points. So first session would be, I would say you would introduce the character to the game, introduce the villain, the conflict, and then by the end of the first session, you would already be working toward the resolution. You would be about, like, if you watch my video about that plot diagram, how you've got like the expedition. Yeah, that's right, Dag. So you need to focus on the player even more than a regular campaign. So yeah, so you'll plan everything around just this one character. Everything will revolve around them, the actions they do, but so that plot diagram, expedition, it goes up to the climax, it goes down. Your first game needs to get about halfway up that slope. Second game would probably need to get to the climax, so where you fight the villain, the big bad, whatever you've got. And then the third session would be go down to the resolution. What happens after you beat the villain? I would just keep it, because you're looking at 2 to 3 hours, so you're looking between 6 and 9 hours of gameplay. You're gonna want to make it fast. I would keep encounters to a raw minimum. Only the encounters that are absolutely needed. I mean, they'll be fast, but if you put too many in there, okay, very like Metal Gear Solid style. There we go. So then obviously your combat, your encounters are probably going to be pretty low. If you're trying to escape from a military place, you're not going to be wanting alerting attention. So I would make it more around stealth, sneaking around, collecting information. I'm assuming instead of just maybe trying to get out, maybe they're like, okay, I'm here. Maybe I can kind of snoop around, get a little bit of info on this UAM organization on my way out. So, they're going to try to get in there, get some information. Maybe they even try to kill off or, defeat, however you want to play it. If you're looking to go lethal, kill off the lieutenant or commander of this military camp or this zone that he's in control of, right? To kind of destabilize the area. Yeah. Bribery, maybe. It all depends, like, if you're starting it out with if this person was captured and then they have to sneak out. Obviously, they're not going to have anything monetary-wise, but they could do it they could have bribery, like, in favors. Hey, you help me get out of here, I'll remember you, or hey, I'll take you with me kind of thing. Okay. I mean, obviously that's easy enough. So she's probably going to, since she was raised there, she's probably going to be able to have a little more free roam because they're going to think that she's one of them. So that's going to give her some options to make friends, do the bribery thing. She may need help from people in power or from other people. Which outbox go? There it is. Now, her parents out in the wasteland, how do they get out in the wasteland? Did they get, like, exiled or something? Okay, yeah. Stranger. Yeah, I got you. That's kind of cool. So is she like teenage age, living by herself? Or living with other family members? Or are there going to be any complications of her sneaking away? Besides, obviously, sneaking past the people that are watching? Good question. Latent magic. That'd be kind of cool. And then Nintendo. I don't know if you want to try. I mean, eventually you can try logging into Roll20 like on your phone sometime, and I can get you a key to my like test game just to see if you can run it for free or whatever. Just so you have an option if you really want to play it. I'm able to work you in. Then you'd have a way to do so. I'm trying to take care of you guys. All right, Vincent. A pretty cool story. Yeah, she's obviously taken advantage of the opportunity, right, to make the escape. So obviously, when she's close to the border, that's why it's gonna be easy enough. Now, so do you have more than just this one player? Or are you doing like little mini games with all of your other players, or is this just the only person you've got? Okay, origin stories. Prelude is what I like to call it. Oh no, sad day, sad face. Frowny face. Oh no. That sucks, man. And Dax, that's a pretty cool idea there. The abnormal happens. Now she's got all these questions. Yeah, some raw magic ability. I like that. Yeah, the Galaxy phones are pretty good. So then, Vincent, the question begs then, okay, so this is like for story writing purposes. So this little 3-game session you're going to have, what's the opposition? What's stopping her? Obviously, besides soldiers or guards or whatever, but is there like a big opposition um, to getting for her or from? Well, let me talk. The opposition that's going to prevent her from escaping. Laptops are nice. I bought for my gaming bag, I bought one of those Google Chromebooks during Christmas time. It was like $230 or whatever. It just basically runs the internet, but it's really good for just running Roll20. But I've got a bigger laptop that I have for other stuff. But those Chromebooks are nice, man. They're small. They fold up. They just go right in the bag with my notebooks and my game books and stuff like that. Hey, 5 years. Welcome, whoever's new. No. Down to 4. It's all good. Yeah, Vincent, this is a pretty good idea. Having someone following her. So this UAM, do they have like some? It sounds like it's a militaristic organization. Now, do they have like um, organizations inside this organization that are kind of tasked with hunting down these superpowered or like these metahumans or mages or stuff that in their midst? Because if you did, kind of like Spanish Inquisition, right? They hunted witches or whatever. You could have something like that. Like these guys' whole purpose is to root out these metahumans and these mages that are amongst the midst, and to kill them, exile them, whatever. Have one of these guys chase her down. She ends up getting away. Maybe he survives. Use him later in the story. Bright. Is that show with Will? That makes best Spanish Inquisition. Bright. That's that show on Netflix, right? With Will Smith, with the orc or whatever. Yeah, speedsters. Speedsters are rough um, to handle. You're like, okay, villain shows up. Initiative. I have plus 40 initiative. I'm first. Okay, what do? I go 700 miles in either direction. You're like, how do you deal with that, right? You have to become creative on how you're going to deal with speedsters. So Dax, is that show good? I thought about watching it, but I'm like, it looks a little weird. Is it worth me watching? Like, I'm not gonna get like halfway through that show and be like, telekinetic. Okay, that's cool. Because what's great about telekinetic powers, they're very subtle. So she could be doing it, and most people don't even know who's doing it. Slam damage. Yep. You're like, I'm gonna use the old Flash's trick, the infinite mass punch. Technically, it's not. Mass can't become infinitely, or can't become infinite according to science as we know. Okay, so it's kind of a toss-up. It might be worth watching a couple episodes and being like, yay, nay, kind of thing. Okay. Mm. Yeah, you're plus 80 initiative. You were first. Was it a movie? Was it a movie or was it a series? Maybe it was a movie. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Regardless. So, okay, so that might be worth me just watching the movie. As long as like afterwards, I don't feel like I wasted 2 hours of my life. Okay, it was a movie. All right. Well, obviously, it did well enough to make a sequel. Well, I can't really say well enough because they made some sequels to some movies that were pretty bad. Does Trolls 2 come to anybody's mind? Anybody that's seen that or had the misfortune of seeing that? I'm saying that maybe you guys, whoever's watching, maybe you guys like that stuff. I don't know. I guess. So I guess in the near future I might be doing videos. Oh my God, why? Vincent, you talking about Trolls 2? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Trolls. I think he's talking about Trolls. Yep. So like I said, they've made some sequels to some pretty interesting movies. Or they have movies that were really, really good, and then they make sequels that are really, really bad. But anyway, so back to gaming wise. Yeah. Yep, pulling out the speedster. You're like, all right, guys, where are we going? What's happening? This guy is just like nobody can ever see because he moves so fast. It's always one of those things like, if I run a game, do I bring science into it? Like somebody goes like, 100,000 miles an hour or whatever. You're like, well, if you run through town, the town is now destroyed. Because the vacuum of air would just destroy like everything. Sonic booms would destroy glass in buildings. Oh, like just you playing a game by yourself, like as a character. Yeah, 20 million mile per hour. That's faster than the speed of light. I can't even imagine 20 million mile an hour. Yeah. So playing now, some games do well playing by yourself. Like, you make a character, then you can kind of, like, there's games that are kind of designed for that. Yeah, speed rating 20. That's ridiculous. Yep. Well, because also mathematically, you're moving that fast. Your mass is so great. Like, your mass becomes just astronomically huge scientifically. I can't even imagine what would happen. I'm not a science expert, but I think you would destroy anything that you would run near or around or through. So anyway, so back to running games by yourself. Some games do really well for that. Mutants and Masterminds, Dungeons and Dragons, stuff like that, does not. Yes, running a combat encounter on your own is dull. To test the combat, it is dull, but it's one of those things. If you have questions of or need help with, You have to, okay, let me get the player's character. I don't know if you guys do it, but I like to have copies of the player's character sheet. Moving backwards through time, actually, you arrived before you left. Oh, the paradoxes. I don't even, oh God. Einstein doesn't even know the answer to what would happen if you move that fast. It's fantastic. But yeah, so having duplicates of the character sheets, then you can be like, okay, I'm going to plan an encounter, play it against them. Basically, it's a lot of dice rolling and examining the results. It's kind of boring. If you're looking for a game that you can run by yourself, I have one on the top of my head. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Always keep access to player sheets. That's the one thing I like about Roll20 as well. Because then you have it, it's all on there. You can look at everybody's character. I guess one thing you could do, like basically, okay, my friends and I were talking about this several days ago, and they're like, okay, so what is it like playing a role-playing game by yourself? We all kind of came to the conclusion that it's like writing a book, right? So you could create all your characters. It's actually it'd be a good way to practice story writing and storytelling, and how to think visually, and to think narratively about how to roleplay. Because there's like, sure, I've got my encounters and I've got what I want to do, but how do I get that from here? Oh yeah, for some reason I was thinking 186,000 miles per second. Okay, so yeah, okay, miles per hour. Yeah, you're a good man. Well played. See, I'm not a science man. My bachelor's degree in math from Mutants and Masterminds has failed me. But yeah, but even at 20 million miles an hour, yeah. I guess it's just one of the things you just have to be like, well, you just go this fast, because if you try to rationalize it, you're just gonna, I don't know, the game's just gonna be over really fast. That's hell fast. 670 million some odd change miles per hour. Boy, that's fast. But anyway, but yeah, so where was it? Oh yeah, so getting like everything that you want to happen from your brain, like what you're thinking, into the game. That's going to be a series of videos that I'm going to do in the near future. Is going to be like narration, because I've talked about writing the story, right? Sure, you can write story all day. You'd be like, yeah, like, you know, this character's going to escape from this. This guy's following her. I got all this cool stuff planned. Cool. But now, how do I get that to the player? How do I get what I'm visualizing? How do I get that to the player? Yes, you would turn to mush. Well, because first, like, your clothes burn off, your skin burns off, you know, all this. You turn into stroganoff. You vaporize. Same with like super strength too. Like, You always see Superman, like Lois is falling out of the window like she always does. For some odd reason, there's always a window she falls out of. Well, he just kind of swoops in, he grabs her, and then he goes up like, nope, she's now dead. Because, all right, you're falling, okay, terminal velocity. Superman comes in from the side. You instantly stop and then begin going in another direction. All of your internal organs smush to one side of your body and turn into pudding. And now he flies her off and she's just dead. There's a good series of videos that I watched on YouTube. I think like the science of superpowers. Like if you ever plan to bring any kind of realistic science to your Mutants and Masterminds games, you're going to want to watch those. If you do not, if you want to maintain the suspension of disbelief, do not watch them. So... Yes, because science with Kyle Hill, love those videos. So good. Like, one of my favorite ones was like, okay, well, One Punch Man, right? Saitama, like if he punches, you know, as fast as he can, he creates black holes or whatever. Or if it's like the Juggernaut is moving full speed and he gets hit dead on by Thor's hammer, what happens? The universe kind of unfolds on itself because the immovable object meets the unstoppable force kind of thing. Because the Juggernaut can't be slowed once he's in motion. And then Thor's hammer, if it attempts to be stopped by any means, it increases its mass. So the hammer then becomes infinitely massive, which then causes like a singularity and swallows the universe. How post-apocalyptic are we talking? Are we talking like Fallout? If you've played those games, we talking Fallout? We talking Walking Dead style, or is it just like there's like an apocalypse, but people have gotten hey Burning, what's going on? What's going on here? Live streaming. Well, first we're talking about the science of superpowers and how. When you play Mutants and Masterminds, you should not think about science. But anyway, so back to post-apocalyptic. You have to determine like how soon post-apocalyptic is it? Is there's like the apocalypse, and now we're into the point where people have reestablished ways of food, so like farming, agriculture, livestock. They've dug wells, you know, have they reestablished all these things for food and water, or are they in the position that they don't have that stuff? And sleep, obviously you sleep whenever they can. It's just one of those things, like if they're out in the wasteland, obviously they're going to have your chimeras or other dangers that could potentially be lurking around, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, right? You gotta have somebody watching. But if your one character is on their own, it's one of those things where you would definitely want to bring in fatigue and exhaustion into play. If she's unable to sleep full sessions each night or continued movement and activity, give penalties, just like you normally would, like if you had to be out and about. Okay, settlements and everything are just beginning. So, okay, and then then you have your metas, like your metahuman colony. How's their food water set up? Are they kind of in the same boat? They've kind of done ways to, you know, get everything back to usual. Okay. So yeah, obviously, then I would make food and water too scarce. And also, it really all depends too, like how big, like how important to the story is your food and water. Like if it's going to be like super scarce, where you've got to scrounge for food and water, that needs to be a big part of the game. You're like, okay, guys, it's the next day. Well, we don't have anything to eat. You got to go forage. All right, yeah, okay, touche. Reading the GM guide. GM guide does have a lot of good stuff in it. Um, it's one of those things, though. You want to pick and choose. I wouldn't use every. You don't need to use everything out of it. I would just take that influence for a particular topic. Because obviously, it's going to give you a lot of information based on what type of game you want to run. Setting, theme, mood, and stuff like that. But it is a really, really good game. It is really good. It's so Burning. It's for his Mutants and Masterminds game. Yeah, you could do food units, or some kind of tracking system. Um, I find that, I mean, if your players are new, that's fine if they're okay with it. If your players are more experienced, though, they're going to want a more immersive experience. They're going to be like, okay, so like I said, all right, okay, guys, you wake up, it's the next day, you ate all the food yesterday, now you've got to go scrounge some more food. Hey, where's that pack of chimeras we saw roaming around? Go track them down. So now they have to go engage with these creatures to be able to kill them and eat them, or they've got to scrounge for food from plants and stuff like that, or raid enemy settlements or something. Yeah, so Bernie's got a good point there. If your players like the micromanaging, if they like the meta stuff, that's fine. Make them have a little tally sheet and they track every little bit of food or whatever. Yeah, but then if your players don't want to do all this note taking and micromanaging of um, food and water and all this other stuff, just make it narrative part of the game. They're like, okay, we need to go scrounge, scrounge for food or whatever. Okay, roll, whatever. That's a good question. What is the skill? Is it? Oh, where is it? Where's the skills? Nope, nope. I should have been looking at my other sheet. Yeah, I'm assuming. Let me get to the skills here. Technology. For some reason, like survival is coming to my brain, but that's a B&D skill. Let me just look at the skill list. Because also then I'm assuming as well that your guys would... yeah, but my group's kind of the same. We've got one guy that a couple of guys take pretty good notes, and then the rest of them just kind of rely on, yeah, this guy took notes. Well, then if this guy screws up, I'm like, well, you guys, you didn't write on your sheet, or you don't remember. Yeah, so Burning's got a point there. You know, you could just ask your players, hey guys, look, I got this idea for food, you know, tracking food and water. It is post-apocalyptic. How would you guys like to track that? Yeah, so that's sort of my next topic. I was just going to use expertise, or you could use expertise foraging, expertise, you know, whatever, relative skill. You know, if you want to be general, survival, or if you wanted to break it down more specifically, you have foraging. You would have your different, like skinning. You know, obviously you got to skin the thing you kill to be able to get the skin off, so you can cook it and eat it, and da da da. You know, you could break it down that way. But to make it easier, I would just have expertise, survival, skill. Pizza making, fantastic, love it. Post-apocalyptic pizza. Mm-hmm. See, that would be like the good stuff, man, because you'd have to like hand knead the dough. You have to build the oven out of like handmade bricks and stuff. Let's see. But another note on note taking, I can't stress enough how important note taking is, even for experienced players. Take lots of notes. Dax, I'm assuming, postalyptic, fantastic. I love that. You should trademark that or copyright it or whatever. But yeah, so I'm assuming Dax, like even you play a lot of 5th edition, right? I'm assuming that you still take good notes, right? DM tells you something, you write it down. You tell your players something, you hope they write it down. I mean, there's sometimes I can be like an ass GM. I can be like, oh hey, do you guys remember this? You know, this guy from 3 sessions ago. Yeah, blindside him, hit him like a truck. You know, people that don't take notes or didn't write something down, and I'm going to recall that information. They're like, oh well, guess what? You don't remember, or that thing that I gave you, and nobody wrote down on their character sheet or their inventory, and they're like, oh. It's one of those things you just, the school of hard knocks, you have to learn the hard way. Sometimes blindsiding them with a good story plot is good. Beep, beep. No, you don't honk the horn. You step on the gas. Session summaries. I always do this, like when I do summaries, I do it at the start of the next session. So like this Saturday coming up when I do my vampire game, it's going to be like, okay guys, what happened last time? And then somebody's always like, well, last time on Dragon Ball Z. And then I kind of go around the table, starting with one player. Okay, started at the beginning of last session. What happened? Okay, stop. Next player. What happened next? Okay, stop. What happened next? I just go around the table like that. And just to make sure that everybody's paying attention. Yep. Rewards was the thing I was going to touch on. Because I've got one guy in my group that normally does most of the summary for the previous sessions, and it's always good to give rewards. Maybe not every single time, but every now and then maybe give them a few extra experience points or something like that. Excuse me. Yeah. Gold's an option. I know with like with Vampire. So with vampires, sometimes I might throw in an extra experience around or something. If somebody takes really good notes, because I throw a lot of stuff at people. But also, since I use Roll20, I create a bunch of handouts and I give the handouts. But sometimes I have to come up with something like on the fly, and I got one dude that's over there just scribbling down as I'm scribbling down. So doing a little extra work deserves a reward. Should I start setting up the main overarching plot in the origin story? Yes and no. Yeah, touche. People just like gold falling into everybody's pockets. So what I mean by yes and no, Vincent, to your question, is I would have this origin story be a point in the total story. I wouldn't have. Let me see if I can say this well enough. Hold on, let me gather my thoughts here. How best to describe it? So I wouldn't use the Okay, so you could use the origin story to reference the main overarching plot, but you don't want the overarching story to cloud the origin story, if that makes any sense. Right? So you're going to have your origin story. It's going to be like its own little story. It's going to have its own plot diagram and its own rising action, climax, resolution. Right? So you're gonna want to play that like you would play the big game, but like it's over here and the big game is over here. Make references to the bigger game, but don't let this hover here. Right? Because then their player's only going to be thinking about the big. Hopefully, this is making sense. The player's only going to be thinking about this big, huge story. Yeah, more like a reference and tie to the overarching. Yeah. So don't let the big story cloud your smaller story. Like even when you read a good book, and there's like the big story that's going on in the book, but then you have these little side stories. A better example, anime. Do you guys watch anime? Who watches anime? Any anime, doesn't matter what it is. Cool, Dax. Thanks for stopping by for my first stream. This is just a test. Hopefully it might be something I do once a week. If I do, I hope to see you as often as you can. You have a good night. So yeah, so how like when you watch an anime, like a good example would be like Naruto. Like you're watching Naruto, however you want to say it, right? You're watching that and it's going, and then the main story stops, and then it shoots off to this tangent of this side story. Now the side story is really, really good. It's its own story, the same characters in the same world, but it's meant to, maybe they make references to what's going on in the major plot, but this is its own story that deserves its own attention. So that's what you're going to want. This origin story needs its own attention, its own love. You want your character to be invested in this story, but then in the back of the mind, filler arc. Yes, filler arc. but I'm not saying the origin story is going to be filler, but it's kind of a concept, right? It takes place in the same time. Yeah, side quests, right? If you played any Bethesda games, yes, yep, Fallout. Love me some Fallout. I love Bethesda stuff is great. So just make sure that this side story is going to get all the love and attention that you would give the main story to make sure your player is invested in it. Complete that, but then drop hints at the major story so that when you're ready to get into it, they're ready. They kind of know they're ready for this new adventure. They're going to go like this in their story, the big story. Sorry, I went on a rant right there. But I'm a huge story guy in my RPGs. Like, there's times when there were like rules will go out the window if I have to make a good story. Yes. So it's going to be a part of the main story, but you need to make this all about her, and this is her story, and get her invested in this world, the people, the places, the things. Get her invested in her character, and you're gonna have a better experience once everybody comes together and you start working on the big story. Okay, now I will admit, I've watched a couple episodes of One Piece. It does not thrill me. I'm not a One Piece fan. I don't know if I'm going to get flamed for that, but... Yeah, this is my first live stream I've done. I did a private one earlier for myself just to kind of test some stuff. That I had an issue with the audio when I came back to public. I had to drop and fix, but yeah, this is my first one on my channel. Like the one that I've actually had like people show up to. I think I did one. I don't know when I kind of first started the channel. I guess by accident. I don't know what I was doing, but. That are over 60 episodes. There's so much good stuff you're missing though. Like some of these animes get like really, really good stories. You know, Bernie, I was thinking of doing that. I just kind of wanted to do a test just to see who would show. Just by, because normally, like if you've got like notifications turned on with your subscription, you'll get notified. But yeah, going forward when I do it, obviously I'm going to work out the kinks of audio, video, and all this other stuff and my connection. I had the one problem with the stream health. It went into the red because we had some bad weather here, but now it's solid green. As long as you guys can see and hear me well enough, I'm probably going to try to stream once a week, and then I'll be making regular updates in Discord and on Twitter as well when I'm going to stream. Probably I'll do an update the day before, and then during the day before I do. Thanks, Vincent. I appreciate it, man. When it's just a handful of guys, it's easy to give you guys all the attention you need. If the stream ever gets big when it's like 50, 60 people asking questions, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Because I'm a bit, oh, okay, yeah, you said this and you said this. So hopefully I'm giving you guys some decent feedback or helping you with the questions that you've got. Jeremy, hey, what's going on, man? Wait, Burning, Warhammer 40k campaign. Talk to me about this. So are you a 40k fan? Burning, yeah, go ahead with your, yeah. So after the 40k question, I'll take your suggestions. Warhammer Fantasy, okay. Rogue Trader, okay. That's like the one, I think that's the one game. Now is it the Fantasy Flight role-playing game, Rogue Trader? So, Nintendo, one of the things. Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, green screen is one of the things I'm gonna is one of the things I want to do soon. Um, Hold on. Because what I want to do, I want to do green screen and just cut out everything. Then it would just be me, like you see a lot of streams do, or I would just have like a background, maybe my, like the intro picture that I use, that dungeon crawl thing as it zooms in, maybe something like that. I'm still throwing around some ideas. It's all kind of coming together as I go, but I appreciate the suggestion. I know it's kind of boring, this gray ass screen. You guys see it in all my videos, but I'm just I'm learning all this stuff as I kind of go along, getting inspiration from other streamers and stuff that I watch. But the channel's evolving. It's come a long way, I think, from when I first started this. No, man, poaching's fine. I mean, hey, like honestly, like the whole reason I made this channel was really just to kind of get my passion for storytelling and role playing games and the information that I've accrued over the years. I want to give that to people that are willing to take it, and whatever you do with it is what you do with it. I mean, it's been great that I've met a lot of you, and I'm glad you guys are supporting me, and it's fantastic, and it's keeping me going, making new content. Let's see, Mutants and Masterminds homebrew fixes you have for a system in general. So Vincent, not really. It's one of those, minus the. I don't know if I was talking to, or if it was somebody else over in Discord about some of the powers that I either outlaw or I greatly restrict. It's just kind of one of those things, like if a certain situation comes up with a certain powers conflicting with certain or whatever, I'll make a fix there on the spot. It might go south that first time, but then I'm like, okay, how did this go? I'm going to change it this way or do something different next time. So outlaw. Let's get to the sheet here. Let's get the powers. Power. One of the ones is high levels of regeneration, immortality, high levels of immunity. Now you're asking, well, I mean, it's my points, Brian. Why can't I just buy whatever I want? Well, okay, so the reason why let's look at it here. So where is it? Your flight. Healing as well. Healing is one of those ones that I also put the kibosh on to certain levels, or if you're going to take it, I require you to take certain drawbacks for it. Mainly the regeneration, immortality, healing, all this other stuff is because I want my players to have a fear of death and failure. Okay? If you just go running at the boss willy-nilly, and you're and you know that he's clearly powerful, he should probably just strike you down and almost kill you. But if you have some of these powers like healing, okay, you're in a fight, one dude goes into dying, I go over there, lay on hands, okay, he's back up to full and he's in the fight ready to go. First of all, it tilts the favor to the player characters. Let me get my chat going up here. And it makes it difficult to make balanced encounters for my NPCs, if that makes any sense. Or like immortality, you die, okay, 2 weeks my character will come back alive. I'll come back and play, and whenever it's been 2 weeks in game, and people will make stupid decisions with their characters if they have no sense of permanent death for their character, and I like to do away with that. Yeah, so let's go. Sorry. So let's go down to healing. It even gives you some options here. And then you guys are talking about 5th edition. One of the games, so like on my Roll20, I actually have a bunch of games that I've kind of started creating. One of them was a Castlevania-based 5th edition game. So if you guys have watched that series on Netflix, the Castlevania, it's basically starting at the point in the beginning of that. And like you're gonna be like I'm going into the lore and the history of the different Castlevania games, and the whole objective is to be the Trevor Belmont or whatever that goes and defeats Dracula. That's something that I was working on creating. Would you guys be interested in playing something like that? Like a Castlevania based? Like Castlevania monsters, some of the weapons you see in there? Because the series on Netflix was amazing. All right, so healing. Where is it? Flaws, right here. So one of the ones I require you to take, if you're going to take high levels of healing, you have to take empathic. When you cure someone, you acquire the condition yourself. You can use healing and regeneration to cure your own conditions. You can have the resurrection modifier for healing, but if you successfully use it, you die. Okay, somebody's in the dying condition. Well, I can heal them, but now I'm going to be dying. Okay, this makes it less likely for that player to make stupid actions to get himself killed. Oh, just heal me. Well, I can heal you. What a horrible night to have her cursed. Yes. Oh, wait, I can't even sing that, right? Is that like... I'm actually demonetized anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. It's a little vampire killer. But yeah, so having restrictions, so empathic, or you could take temporary. I make them take something that make it where they just can't go over there and just be like, Mr. Miyagi and make it all better every single time for free. Because then they will just throw themselves at the enemy every single turn, and it becomes like a clown show. You know, there's this clown music going in the background. The guy goes down, he gets healed, he's back up, he's back in, he's down, he's back up, he's back in. Yeah, it just gets terrible. Hopefully that answers your question about healing. So definitely, if you're going to include healing in your game, if you're going to let somebody take it, keep that in mind. Well, maybe not like every single turn, maybe like every hour or so. There's a pause. Yep. What a horrible night to have a curse, and then I have to change the music, and everything gets twice as hard to kill. Oh, I love Soma. Soma Cruise. I like that, what is it, Castlevania HD they had on like the Xbox 360 or whatever. That game was amazing. Modeling after D&D healing, yeah, you could. One of the things I'd like to do is also when you use it, you gain fatigue and then continues use exhausted and then incapacitate. So they can heal at full for a while, but eventually they incapacitate themselves from tiring themselves out. That's really kind of how I like to do it. Yeah. They're like, whoops. They're like, you know, the enemies are winning. The dude's just like, oh, and everybody's back up on their feet. They're like, nope, sorry, son. Gun them down. Now the best one is when they take the burst area and all that stuff, but they don't take selective. They heal all the bad guys and the good guys. He's like, but that's not what I wanted to do. Well, you didn't take selective on your power. You've got to wait till you get experience points to change that. So next is immortality, right? So rank 20, you recover from death at the start of each action round. See, it's done. You die, next turn, you're back alive. Yes, definitely. So Vincent, this is a good idea too. If you're new at GMing, DMing in general, make sure your guys, like your enemies and monsters, have brains. Use them. Right. So if you have a group of 5 players, even if the enemies are like a pack of wolves, right? Wolves are not stupid. They go for the sick, the weak, the slow, right? They're going to go after the person that's the slowest. They're going to go after the one that's not wearing the armor. They're going to, make sure your enemies have brains and use them. Because then that's going to make sure like that the healer doesn't just stand in the back or whatever, beep, and just cast their healing spells every turn. No, the enemy's going to flank, and they're going to just dogpile that and just nom, nom, nom. Just eat their faces off. Sorry, in PG, they're going to beat them. I guess. I don't know. I don't know if you guys care if it's PG or not. Yeah, see, I mean, like, you could take immortality and be smart. Now, just because you're invulnerable doesn't mean you're invincible, right? Dying 100,000 times through the course of all eternity sucks, right? The guy gets shot and die. Oh, that's traumatic. Enough of that, and you could give him, mental disorders or something. Yeah, I don't care if it's PG. Now I'll tell you, if you guys play, if any of you guys, if I pick any of you guys to play in any of my games that I'm planning, it is not family friendly. Now it's not, like I said, it's not going to be overly vulgar, but I keep my immortal PTSD. Yes, correct. I keep my games dark. They're real. They're gritty. There's adult themes just like in the world today. You look at the news. People have died. There's terror attacks. There's all this other kind of stuff going on out there in the world. That's the kind of stuff that happens in my games, right? It's not going to be a clown show. People with makeup running around, dancing around, saving cats out of trees. It will not be stuff like that. It will be real. It will be narrated that way. They will have depth. You will have feelings for your characters and stuff like that. Oh God, second edition. Oh God, he's like Randy Savage. Ooh yeah, snap it to a Slim Jim. Yeah, so Vincent, your chimeras you've got, obviously, don't just look at them as like stats on the page, right? They, how do they hunt? Are they a pack animal? Are they a loner animal? Do they hunt in pairs? Do they live in herds? Like, how do these things interact as a community like humans do? Look at lions. They have a pride. There's multiple lions. They hunt. They bring stuff back. They raise children. Think about how the chimeras are gonna hunt, regardless of what they're hunting. If they're hunting some kind of animal to feed, or if they're hunting the characters, they're going to use their tactics that they developed to target those weaker characters first. Sounds like the Macho Man. Oh yeah, with the oh yeah, whoosh. That's right, baby. I beat you to it. I used to love those commercials. Man, now I want to YouTube one of those and watch that. Those things are so great. I love Randy Savage. I grew up watching him in wrestling, him and Hogan and Andre the Giant. Like I said, I'm an older guy. I grew up in the 80s. So I guess just a few more things here on like limited powers. So like immunity, right? Some of the lower stuff isn't that bad, but when you get 30 ranks of like all effects resisted by fortitude, all effects resisted by will, nope. Or like 80 ranks, all effects resisted by toughness. Sorry, not in my game. Like that stuff is just that. Now, I mean, if you give me a good reason, like stuff affected by will, if you're like a robot, okay, different. But just having this stuff willy-nilly because you don't want to get charmed or mind controlled, I want story. The Ultimate Warrior, man. Oh yeah, man, I remember him. Yeah, he had that, like, he had the big press. He just like, he was like throw people. Oh God, Pocket Dimension. Yeah, Vincent. Okay, so this is good, right? You've developed your chimeras, right? So obviously, if they're going to breed with a wide array of different animals, they're going to take on different traits and aspects and hunting styles. So, I would create multiple variants of these chimeras, which you probably have. Hopefully, if not, I would do so. Something that's bred with like a lion or like a tougher animal, a sneakier animal, all that other stuff. Oh yeah, Jake the Snake. Old school Undertaker when he had like the eyeshadow and the pasty, rolling his eyes in the back of his head. Make him like a luchador if you make this character again. I don't know if you guys ever read manga or watch the anime. What is it? Like History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi. Love that series, by the way. If you haven't read that stuff, he ends up being trained by all these different martial arts masters, but he ends up fighting these like epic level luchador fighters. Where then like he uses his martial arts against their like luchador skills. Oh yeah, see, great anime. The anime is good, but you gotta read. You gotta read the manga. If you have not read that, oh my god, the stuff that goes on later on is out of control. Like the girl with the drunken boxing, where like Kenichi has to beat her by going into like like the samurai where they kneel down like they're ready pose as they're gonna come up, and yeah he fights her on the ground like that. Yeah, also that was back when the Undertaker was like 20 years younger. It's like in his mid 30s or whatever, early 30s. Yeah, I used to love the Undertaker. I think my favorite, like growing up, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like I was wearing my Austin 316 T-shirt earlier, but then I realized that there's a hole in the armpit, and I was so sad. I was so sad because I wear it under my uniform at work because I have to wear a black shirt. Stone Cold Steve Austin, hands down the best. IMO, in my opinion, I grew up really like in the Attitude Era, mid late 90s, early 2000s, watching wrestling, and I can just remember looking at all that stuff. I'm trying to think what else I would outlaw. Healing, immortality, immunity, regeneration for obvious reasons, right? You just remove toughness penalties super fast. Nullify is another one of these ones that I do not let out of the house. I do not let players take this. You're probably like, well, what if I want to take Nullify? I want to be like Leech or something. Oh, well, not in this game. Now, let me tell you why. Because Nullify, can counter particular effects of a particular descriptor, such as fire effects, magical effects, mental effects. Then people could take, like, extras, effects in substantial, alternate resistances. It has an area effect, broad concentration, all this other stuff. It really it kind of makes it difficult to create certain villains if I can't create a villain that controls and manipulates fire, because one player can nullify all fire effects. Well, to my story, I need a guy that can create and control fire. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to create a guy that can create and control fire. Because, like I said, like my story means more than certain particular rules. Now, I'm not saying that like my story is better than your characters. No, I want to tell a good story, and I want all the tools on my belt to be able to tell that story. I don't want to have to limit my story based on somebody taking this power. And also, I only use Nullify as a story tool anyway. I've used it as like Nullify grenades. I did one game where the military created nullifying grenades. They roll them in there. They emit this thing for like 2 or 3 turns. They would deactivate certain powers or whatever. I forget exactly how it was done, but that's how the humans were able to fight off some of the supers. In one of my games is how they were able to capture the characters in one session. Was using this. I use it as a story tool for myself and some in conflict that the players have to overcome. I never let them have this. Sorry if you guys were thinking of playing and taking Nullify. I do apologize in advance. So yeah, we talked about regeneration. Let's see. I think that's about it. And there's obviously there's one of those things. Some people will get crafty and they will create characters with certain combinations of skills or whatever, and it's just like, is this gonna work? It might, it might be one of those things I just have to deal with when the time comes up. But I try not to make a lot of hard limits on stuff because I want you to be able to create a character. Werewolf. So does the base human form have any powers? Can it regenerate? Does it have any of the werewolf abilities outside of the form? And then are we talking like they're only a full moon is going to bring them out into a werewolf, or is this something that they can actively control whenever they want? Let me put this in front. Summons can. But the good thing about summons is before they get out of control, people like to give up on it because it's kind of complex. It's a lot of note-taking, math, paperwork that most players don't want to deal with. It's only those people that are committed to summoning that let it get out of control. So one thing about werewolf, if it's something that they can control, changing in and out of alternate form is fine. If it's going to be like only a full moon or a certain situation that's out of their control, if you watched my last video when I looked at Ginger Grant, they were the one that submitted that character. The Leatherwings, the Man Bat variant, I would do it that way. I would use all your points to make your werewolf form. And then basically you just have the complication of identity, and you just have a human form that just has almost nothing to it. Because if you did it that way, that's easier. Because if you use alternate form on a human that has like no points anyway, it's almost like you're doing all this extra work for nothing. It's the exact same thing that you're doing. But like I said, if it's the alternate form where they can control. Yeah, Pokemon Master. You just have your little Pokeballs. Hey, I choose you. Speaking of Pokemon, you guys ever play the Pokemon tabletop RPG? Okay, so then if you're going to do it by at-will or chemical ingestion or whatever, then, yeah, alternate form is what you would want to do then. That would be an easier way to do it. Well, I mean, technically, you wouldn't even have to do that anyway. Because if you look at... I keep wanting to grab my regular book here. Let's look at it right here. Complications. Identity, right here. If you look right here. Heroes often maintain secret identities, creating various complications as they try to keep them secret. The dual identities even go beyond mere disguise for heroes who actually transform in a different persona, creating complications around controlling that transformation or a lack of power or abilities in one persona. So you could just take the complication identity, and you would have your human form. They take their pill or Jekyll hide potion, whatever, you know, however you're going to do it, turning into werewolf. So you get nothing as a human. You have like the most basic of stats. But then you drink the potion, boom. Because I actually, I put a lot of work into on Roll20 into a Pokemon, what is it? The Pokemon Tabletop United version of the game. Yes, Vincent. You have to create a character sheet for every single Pokemon that you collect. Well, what's great about using Roll20, right? Let me see. Could I even? Hold on. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can just pull this up. It might take me a second to switch between some stuff here. PTU. Oh. All right, hold on. I don't have it set up to everything, and I don't want the stream to look like crap. But basically, in the Pokemon creation super in-depth, no. Well, yes and no. Hold on, let me get my where's my Pokemon? Start a Pokemon. Oh God. So basically how it is, so like they have like there's like a table for the Pokemon. Riffs. Oh yeah, I think somebody challenged me to make a Riffs character a while ago. And I hadn't played Riffs for like 15 years, and I was just like, oh dear God. I think eventually I'm gonna do a video reviewing. I think sixth edition Riffs is out. Is their most current. I'll do a video kind of review on Riffs and character creation, just because I want to expose people to a lot of games. I want people to find a game that they're gonna want to play and that's gonna work for them in their group. Let me go to studio mode here. Okay, you guys still see me all right? Let's see here. I'm looking. Go to my dashboard. Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can get this working here. I can show you the Pokemon thing. I wasn't planning on doing this. I didn't have it all set up. Hold on. Maybe. No, for some reason, it just has a black screen. Yes. Mutants and Masterminds was kind of like that when I first started playing. Okay, well, for some reason, it won't load my thing. Stretch the screen. Okay. Okay, oh, hold on. Let me change something right quick. Right here. Okay, put that like that. Okay. Okay. All right. So I don't know if you guys seen this well enough here. So, I don't know if you guys seen this well enough here. Yeah, burning. I'm using OBS. So this is a character sheet. Yay! Yeah, burning. I'm using OBS. Hey, Ron. Oh no. You know, honestly, I don't find OBS that bad. I mean, this is Yay! Yeah. Hey, Ron. Oh, you have the volume on your own system. Okay, hold on. Oh no. You know, honestly, I don't find OBS that bad. I mean, this. How about that? Is that better? Yeah, like I said, I wasn't planning on doing this. I just kind of had to quickly throw it together. You guys are asking about Pokemon, so. But yeah, so like this is basically like it's the almost the exact same sheet that you use in Roll20 for regular characters. You see, you just got the whole thing. But what's great, there's like the there's like a little chart or whatever in the back. Like you look at the Pokemon and it's got like its starting stats, and then if you want to level it up, there's a whole bunch to it. That would be almost a whole video on its own. But really, once you get it, like once you get the Pokemon created, it's really not that. It's not that hard. Once you do the first couple, then it goes pretty easy. You know, I mean, I haven't had a ton of problems with using OBS with Chrome. I know that they have a new update out. I uninstalled and reinstalled OBS. Okay, I'll just do this then. Okay. But anyway, okay. You guys hear me now? Should be, because I'm getting... Like I said, this is why I'm doing this. This is a learning experience for myself. Okay, cool. Because on this... Alright, awesome. Yeah, obviously I'll do some more work if I'm going to do that. Show more, because normally I have it all set up, but I've never had it all set up for streaming before. I have it all for like regular recording, all of my settings set up properly. Ooh. All right. You guys have any other quick questions? I'm going on about 2.5 hours here. I'm probably gonna end it here in a minute. So, Vincent, hopefully you got some good information. Hopefully I was able to give you some tips on how to get your game going there. Streaming to Twitch. I mean, I have a Twitch account. I don't know. I mean, would you guys come watch me on Twitch versus YouTube? Do you think I would get more viewers on Twitch than on YouTube? And then what day planning to run my M&M game on? So the best days would be either Thursday or Friday, okay? Because I work full time, and I do commission painting for Warhammer 40K or Warhammer Fantasy models, Age of Sigmar models on the side. So Thursdays and Fridays are my days off. It would be one of those days, and it would probably be between a 2 and 4 hour session. I mean, I watch Twitch every now and then. It is pretty cool. It might be, I might do, I might, make dungeon puzzles. Okay. I'll put that on the list. But so for Twitch, I might do a few. I might do a few regular on YouTube, just to kind of maybe work it into a schedule. I try to have a somewhat of a schedule to release content. Like I said, my work can be kind of dynamic. I work in the security industry, so sometimes it's just all like, okay, we need this, or we need you here, or we got to work longer here, or whatever. So I try my best to give you, at least a couple of videos a week. But if you guys are interested in watching live streams, I can do one of those a week for several hours. Sundays are good, like today was, because I'm off relatively early because I work the early shift. Thursday or Friday I could probably stream as well, if needed be. Just if I get the people over wanting information or having questions and stuff needed asks, or just to kind of hanging out and chat. I guess that would be for Discord, but. Yeah, burning. That's what we're talking about right now. So probably it'd be either. Well, so there's several options. It could be Sunday nights, like tonight. It could be Thursday, anytime during Thursday or Friday, because I'm off work those days. Saturday, every other Saturday, I have my gaming group that I play with. And then the other, like the opposing Saturday, normally I go to a game store close to work and I play HeroClix. Because they do little tournaments every Saturday now, or every other Saturday. So I kind of hang out with some of the people I've made friends with there. Wednesdays I'm off early, but I have my Anima Beyond Fantasy campaign that my friend is running that I'm playing in. So Wednesdays will probably be out. And then Monday and Tuesday, I work the night shift. I work the swing shift. So normally I like to sleep in. I'm old. I need my beauty sleep. But yeah, Thursdays, Fridays, or Saturday nights, as of right now, would be the best. I played a little bit of HeroScape. I played HeroClix, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I gave it up, and then I got some friends at the game store wanted to get into playing, and I was like, yeah, I got a bunch of this stuff. So then the game store has just started, carrying larger quantities of HeroClix, and they're getting more of a following, and they want more experienced players to kind of hang out when they can, to kind of help the new players get excited and learn the game kind of stuff. So I kind of help them out with that. But over probably the next week or so, I'll be talking more in Discord. I know all of you guys are in Discord. I'll be talking more about more specifics on date, and then I'll be making probably one of the days I'll be putting in a request. Okay, I need volunteers. We'll see how many I get. If I get more than what I normally like to play with, I'm gonna kind of have to. Maybe I'll just kind of sit and talk with anybody that's interested. Almost kind of like a job interview. I don't want it to sound like that, but I won't run games of like 10, 12 people. It's just too big. It's too bloated. It can't keep people focused. Yeah, I play Warhammer 40K. I think, Jeremy, we've talked about 40K, right? Dark Angel fan? Is that you? Dark Angel man? I love me some Dark Angels. Or that's when you're like totally something else and I'm just like insulted you. I can't remember. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Dark Angels. I actually just got done painting some Chaos Space Marines. Thousand Suns for a friend of mine, and I painted his Magnus like a month before that. Now I'm working on another. Yep, yeah, when we do the Warhammer RPG. Yeah, that's when we're talking about it. And now I'm working on some Imperial Fists for a guy that lives out of state. And then after that, I've got more Chaos Space Marines that are coming in. So I give a pretty decent stream of stuff to paint. But normally I give them 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, starting in June on Thursdays. Because kind of what my plan is, I'm going to create like the world for my Mutants and Masterminds game, and because I mean, I'm assuming I'm going to end up having more than 4 or 5 people interested, and I don't want to leave everybody out in the cold. So I might run several groups in the same world. It might be one shots at a time. So when we play a session, it's just a short little story in this world. Boom. But it all kind of plays toward a larger scale or toward a larger story. If I have another group that I've got people in, they're going to be maybe in another city or in another area of the world or whatever doing the same thing. So everybody's kind of playing in the same world, but maybe not all together. Yeah, I don't do massive armies. I've got 15 models downstairs I'm working on right now, and I've done 30 guardsmen in a single commission, and that's about it. Now, if it's like a bunch of stuff that's all the same, like orcs, guard, something easy to paint, but when it's like Marines or characters, I take small amounts at a time. If I was able to just do that, and if I got paid to do what we're doing now, and my painting, and if I didn't have to work a full-time job, I can take on bigger stuff. Yeah, kind of like that, Jeremy. And yeah, okay. All right, sounds good. Cool. And then I think there'll be some other guys over there in Discord that'll be interested as well. So, like I said, I'll be talking about that more over the next week or so in the Discord. So be on and looking for that, and then we'll get it going. Like I said, I am going to be using Roll20, voice chat. I'm not going to type everything. I can't tell story through typing. And I'm probably going to use, I'll probably set up like Discord. I'll set up like a special voice channel specifically for the game because it's got better audio quality than Roll20 does, especially if you have problems with, because Roll20 was having problems with Chrome, but they put a new update, so now it's not too bad, but it's still kind of, I don't know, kind of weird. We ended up using Discord the other day, but we'll be using that for chat. Video is optional, of course, through Roll20, but audio will be required. No. So like I said, yeah, video, yeah, optional. Because I'm debating on whether I want to try to do maybe record the sessions to put on my channel so people can see it played. But if everyone involved would not like to have their privacy I don't want to say violated in that way, but if they want to maintain a certain level of anonymity while still playing the game, then I won't record the sessions to upload to my channel. It would be cool, just so people can see Roll20 being used, especially if they're new, because that's what, I want people coming to my channel that are maybe looking for some info on kind of what I've been talking about. Doing videos on how to use Roll20, but actually watching it being used is better in my opinion. But once I get each group made, I'll just be like, hey guys, do you care? Yay, nay. Even if one person says no, nah. Yeah, I mean, video is should always be optional. Some people don't want to be recorded. Yeah, like I said, it depends upon each group. Even if one person is like a firm against recording to be put on my channel or on Twitch or whatever I decide to do with it, then I just won't do it. Cool. Yeah, once I get the groups together, that's be one of the things I'll talk about. I'm definitely going to be coming up with my house rules. I've talked about some of it. There might be some more depending upon like the story and the setting and the theme or whatever that I want to run. But there will be house rules and there will be GM rules, like things that will be required to or to not do in my games. Not to be like a dictator. But I like my games to run as smooth as possible, like no clowning around. I did a video on that. I don't like clowning. I mean, having fun and making some jokes and stuff, but sometimes some groups can just get off the rocker in one direction or the other. Then we have to wait for everybody to just... Would you want to get a small group of players who is cool and Twitch streaming? Yeah, I mean, if I get a group of you guys that work well together and want to continue to play together, I mean, Twitch streaming would be kind of cool because I think it'll hit a broader audience because a lot of people go to Twitch for gaming. Maybe what I need to do is maybe just go to Twitch and watch some stuff and see how much is on there, what people are running, how long they're running it for, I'm looking to run a long campaign, but one shot at a time. I said it all depends. If I talk to you guys on Discord and only 5 of you guys want to play, you're my group. And we'll play like we normally would. But if I have multiple groups that want to play, I want to try to leave as few people out in the dark as possible. It would be like I would have my long game plan, but then like each session we would play would be like a one shot, kind of like episodal, right? You've got like this big story arc, but each time we play is like an episode going toward that. I would try to get it to where we start and end each session. There, the whole diagram, right? We have the exposition, then we go all the way through the resolution of that episode. Cut that episode off. Next time we play, we pick it up. Okay. Like when I say long, am I talking like 6 months? I don't know. Am I talking, 10, 12, 15 sessions? Maybe. But obviously that's something we can look at. So Vincent, obviously we can, I'll try to get you in. You can play for as long as you can. If you need to go, you need to go. I've had people drop out of other games before. It's just one of those things. We just set them aside. If you're ever able to come back, try to get you back in. Come in for a one shot. Hey guys, I'm back. The whatever character you're gonna create, he's back. He's action. Okay, guy. Oh, look at it. I gotta go. So it's not a big deal. I can normally work around that. All right, guys, we're going on almost 3 hours. I gotta cut it off here. It's almost 10 o'clock here. So I want to thank you guys. Hey, thanks for watching the stream. Most of you guys that are in the stream right now, follow me over on Discord. Fantastic. keep watching over there for updates on some of the stuff I've talked about. Those of you that watch this at a later point, make sure if you want to be interested in playing with me and some of the other people here in this stream, make sure you get into Discord, come over there, introduce yourselves, join in some of the awesome conversation me and all these guys are having. Also follow me over on Twitter as well at Game Masters Done 1. I'll be working on putting more updates over there as well, along with Discord, just to hit as broad of an audience as I can. Yeah, man, it was good streaming. Thanks for suffering through my first one. I've learned a lot, taken some notes. My next ones will hopefully be a little better. I'm going to work on some green screen stuff, and I'm gonna put that down here in just a minute. Or you can go to any of my older videos and put it in there. But once I'm done with the stream, I'll put in all the links in the description for you. So just a couple of minutes, and I'll have that for you. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm Brian, your Game Master. Till I see you again in the dungeon. Happy gaming.